Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for The Windblown Hare, and with me today I've got two very special guests. I've got Mark Arnold and Kamden Spies. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
So this is The Windblown Hare, released on the 27th of August 1949. It's the 565th in the series, and it's directed by the great Robert McKimson. Currently, find this short on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 3 DVD set. I have a link below, plus it's on HBO Max in high definition. So boys, who wants to do the synopsis for this one? I'm going to spring it right on you.
I'll go first, since you mentioned me first. Okay, so it's basically a take on Three Little Pigs, which has been done many, many times in animated history. Most famously, probably, is the Disney cartoon from 1933. It's also a fable or something, something like that. Not exactly.
I don't think
that,
it's an Aesop's one,
but it goes back further than the Disney cartoon. But they've
no,
done
but that's what they're parodying, probably.
Right, but they've done various takes before and after. Even Disney did multiple cartoons. And this one, it's kind of mixing Three Little Pigs and another classic children's story, Little Red Riding Hood. And basically, Bugs is trying to buy a home. He gets swindled by these pigs who sell him the house of straw, the house of twigs or wood or whatever you want to say. And then finally ends up with the brick house. And then we'll talk about the ending later. But that's essentially the synopsis of the story. Yeah. And the wolf blows down the first two houses, and then we get to the final house. Anyway,
yeah.
So.
Blow your house down.
Me, what's up? Doc?
Well, that's number one, the straw house. No pigs here.
So, in terms of trivia, I'll just go through a few and then I'll bring you boys in later on with some interesting facts about this and beyond, actually, in one case. So, now, when Buck says,
"Of course, this means war,"
that's a reference to Groucho Marx, and when he says,
"But always remember, you asked for it,"
that comes from Art Baker, who was a major radio personality and then became a major television personality afterwards as well. Now, when Bugs is singing The Rabbit in Red,
the rabbit in red, la-da-dee-dee-dee-dee, the rabbit in red,
that's a parody of the song The Lady in Red, which itself was the subject of a Merry Melody short way back in the 1930s, directed by Friz Freleng, which is also on HBO Max in case you haven't seen it.
But Lottie, what a personality. Oh, the lady in red is fresh as a daisy when the town is in bed.
But what was most interesting to me was when Bugs says,
"Here's a sawbuck."
What on earth is a sawbuck? So I looked it up, and sure enough, it's old slang for a $10 bill. And from the looks of things, the origin came from when logs were sawed back in the day, mark an X on the edge, and X, of course, means 10 in Roman numerals, and that's called a sawbuck. But if anyone knows any more information about the origin of that, definitely let me know in the comments below. But what is definitely true, sawbuck was indeed the old slang for a $10 bill. Mark, you have a bit of trivia as well about the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, there's one scene where Bugs says,
"Granny, you're just a wolf in cheap clothing."
The original verbiage is the wolf in sheep's clothing. It has kind of biblical origins, but it also was used as British slang for anybody who is being deceptive. So it works perfectly for this, plus being kind of a funny joke. So anyway.
And that's the most important thing, I would say, in the cartoon like this. The writer for this is Warren Foster, who's done a lot of these previous McKimson cartoons, where personally I find that a lot of them are hits, few misses here and there. I didn't particularly like Grey-Handed Hare, but again, everyone's got different opinions. There you go. See, we actually got someone who likes it. But anyway, point is, Foster was the main writer here, and you have a few things to say about Warren Foster as the writer and what he's done afterwards.
Yeah. Basically, Warren Foster, like Mike Maltese, if you watch Hanna-Barbera, they reused a lot of gags, which is why Art Leonardi's definitely told you the story as well. He told me in the parking lot of a Raising Cane's over the phone. Art Leonardi said that he once walked into Maltese's office, and Maltese was just sitting there saying, "I got a million gags in my head. I don't need to do anything." And he was just taking a nap. Maltese would reuse the same gags. He wouldn't really use the same story. Foster reused the same story a lot.
Right.
And he did this in the very first when Yogi Bear was moved to his own program because he outshadowed Huckleberry Hound and the Huckleberry Hound show. The very first short was Oinks and Boinks. And one of the first times I talked to Eric Goldberg about Hanna-Barbera, because he's a Hanna-Barbera fan too, and I interviewed him about Hanna-Barbera once for an essay. He and I were talking about how the very first episode was really just the Windblown Hare remade and repurposed for the whole thing, except for, unlike this cartoon, the whole thing is just the pigs repurposed.
Wow, yeah, it's absolutely incredible, because I know that in Hanna-Barbera, for those watching that don't know, when Hanna-Barbera was starting out doing all their shorts, Huckleberry Hounds, Quickjaw McGraw, and Yogi, and so on, they actually had some of the writers from Warner Brothers, namely Mike Maltese and Warren Foster, as part of the writing crew. So of course, what do? They reuse stuff, didn't they?
Yes.
One example I can think of off the top of my head, in Quickjaw McGraw, Mike Maltese wrote, I think he wrote all of them, didn't he? He wrote
all of the segments of the Quickjaw McGraw show. I think he wrote the Augie Doggy and the Snooper Blabber ones too. Am I right, Mark?
Sounds right. I know he did Quickdraw McGraw.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, that's what I thought, just in case, I might have been wrong there. But anyway, there was this gag that was reused. I don't know if he himself came up with the gag, but there was a gag where he would say, "I dare you to step over this line," and of course the character will step over the line and fall to their, supposed death, but of course no one dies in the cartoon, as we all know. They reuse things all the time. That's why I always find it interesting when Bruce Lee cops a lot of flack for reusing stuff, when it's like, hang on, it's the writers, they're doing all that, they're reusing the gags. But anyway, these things are not designed to be binge watched, as we all know. Anyway,
I don't know, Mark, do you think that Frizz, though, when they were doing the stories at DePatie Freeling, obviously the writers of the original cartoons weren't writing those shorts, so do you think it was Frizz's idea, let's just repurpose this whole idea again?
It was probably crossed his mind. It's already done. I think once he won his Oscar for Pink Panther, it was kind of a little bit like coasting for him. I don't want to say the word downhill, but I'm kind of implying that.
Of course.
Because budgets got tighter and tighter and things got more expensive. They had to find ways to cut corners. And, all the studios did that. Disney did it with Robin Hood. They reused animation, things like that. So, it's not like he's doing anything out of the ordinary. That was just the state of the affairs in 1970s U.S. animation.
Hanna-Barbera did it by remaking Scooby-Doo and as a ghost,
umpteen times,
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. It became a real sausage factory after 10 years or so. When Scooby-Doo came into it, it was just absolutely crazy.
As one of my friends referred, when I was interviewed for a school assignment, he referred to Scooby-Doo as the white noise of animation.
With this cartoon, though, because I know people are going to be wondering, well, what do we think about this cartoon? Well, I love these evil three little pigs. I wouldn't call maybe outright evil, but just bad three little pigs, maybe we call them. Especially their just obnoxious laughs. Not only the animation, but also Mel Blanc's perfect delivery.
To buy, and we can all live in my brick house. All for one, and one for all.
Let's face it, Mel Blanc, I've said this enough on this channel, and I'm going to keep on saying it. The man was such a genius, and how in here you got three little pigs, and yet somehow he made all three pigs sound... All right, they all sound like Mel Blanc, sure, but they still sound different. It's incredible.
I will say this, a couple different things, observations. The Oinks and Boinks Yogi Bear cartoon actually has a different ending, so at least Warren Foster or somebody changed that. It's not exactly the same.
Oh, yes.
It's a very similar story, and I never realized it until Kamden pointed it out to me, and I go, I
never realized it until Eric Goldberg pointed out to me.
Yeah, there we go. So a nice little chain of events now I know about too. So.
Here's an interesting thing that I noticed on Windblown Hare. It's also a case in Oinks and Boinks. Why is Yogi Bear looking for a house? He lives in a cave. However, he does explain it when you watch the cartoon. But you go back to the Bugs Bunny cartoon, Windblown Hare. Why is Bugs Bunny looking for a house? He's normally living in a hole in the ground. Why does he care? In thinking about the timing of this cartoon, and the Three Stooges did this too, and real life did this, after World War II, and all the GIs were coming home, a lot of them needed a place to live, and they didn't necessarily have a place to live, so housing was very scarce. And so it doesn't really talk about this anywhere, but I think it was the Looney Tunes commentary using Bugs Bunny, their big star, as, hey, I'm with you. I'm looking for a home too. you know. And I mentioned the Three Stooges. They did a short in 1946 called "Gee, I Want a Home," and it's the same type of thing where they're looking for houses, and so that was a big deal. There was a big housing boom and a housing shortage at the same time in the late 40s. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly, and I definitely think you're onto something there. It's just a sign of times. It's similar to the Fast and Furious, how they have that freeway gag, because freeways were starting to pop up around that time too. So I guess it was all a very topical thing at the time.
I have a question. I don't know if
Sure.
this has ever been brought up, but do rabbits even live in holes in real life? Or
They
do
live in burrows.
like trees? Yeah, so they don't even live in holes. This is like
Well, a burrow's a hole, so but not a completely vertical hole like it shows in the cartoon, of course. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't have these weird elevators that you see in some of the shorts, especially in McKimson's first Bugs Bunny short where he does that. The one scene that stood out for me, perhaps more than those ridiculous Three Little Pig laughters throughout the cartoon, is the scene where the wolf is practicing his line to blow the house down in the beginning, which I've confirmed is animated by Manny Gould. Thad Komorowski did an article, which I'll link down below. He used an official breakdown sheet and he wrote it all out who did what. And that's some great acting right there, where he's just practicing his lines, and of course Mel Blanc's delivery once again. It's just incredible.
the staircase scene. How many times have they redone that by this point in 49?
Well, and weirdly enough, you associate, or I don't know, at least I do, I should say, I associate that bit with Frizz Freeling. You know, the whole dun, and yet you see McKimson doing it here. It's really,
Like Jones did it a few times too.
some just general fallback gags that if they're like, since all these had to be about 7 minutes long, or maybe 5 minutes with titles, maybe they're a minute short and they said, hey, we can stick in this old gag.
that could be it, because it did feel like they were stretching out that little bit. So maybe you were onto something. Maybe they just decided to just include it. I mean, I think it's funny regardless. I just, click.
Right.
How it just says click, and he gets tricked with the reverse psychology that Bugs will be more known for once Chuck Jones really gets into him in the 50s.
I think the staircase scene was even used in that first Bugs Bunny Little Red Riding Hood thing that Frizz did.
Yeah, it was. Yep, done by Frizz. Exactly right. And I think that's probably what it reminded me of.
It was used in at least one Yosemite Sam short where they're on the ship.
It was used in the Tweety and Sylvester. I guess no, that would have been later than this. I guess.
Yeah. Exactly right.
When I was a kid in the 70s, makes me sound old, they used to show the Bugs Bunny Roadrunner show every Saturday morning. I had a cassette tape recorder, and this is long before I had a VCR or anything else, or anything was on VHS or DVD or anything like that. And so I used to audio tape the cartoons. I'd plug into the TV set. I actually had a line-in cable so I could actually record certain shorts. And this is actually one of the ones I recorded. And it was mainly for the one scene where Bugs Bunny gives the wolf the book, and then he speed reads the book.
Good. One day Red Riding Hood was going through the woods with a basket for her grandmother when she met a wolf. The wolf said, hello, Red Riding Hood, where you going? Red Riding Hood said, I'm going to my grandmother's. The wolf took a shortcut to the grandmother's house and ate the grandmother up and put on her nightdress and got into the grandmother's bed. When Red Riding Hood came to the door, she knocked, and the wolf said in the grandmother's voice, come in, Red Riding Hood. What did you bring me? Red Riding Hood said, oh, what big eyes you have, Grandma.
Hey, I'm late.
And I thought that was hysterically funny. And so each week I'd wait and try to tape certain ones. And that was one of the ones I taped, is just this cartoon. And this is what made me a Robert McKimson fan over, everybody's like a Chuck Jones fan, or they're a Frizz Freeling fan, or they're a Bob Clampett fan. I'm fans of them too, but McKimson became my favorite because the cartoons I taped off the air generally were the McKimson ones. I taped off Hillbilly Hare, I taped off Here We Go, I taped off this one, I taped off Aladdin and His Lamp, and I said, wow, these are all McKimson cartoons. I think they're all written by Warren Foster. And so that's a long-winded answer. Just say, yeah, that's the scene I liked, and I think it's a very funny cartoon.
Of course,
I like the ending too, and I think this ending is actually a little bit funnier than ending of Easter Eggs, which is kind of the same ending, but because they don't even know that he's like blowing up this house, and he's just like, oh, screw you guys.
I thought the ending was fantastic. It's a wonderful twist on the classic story, where the wolf is supposed to fail, and even the wolf fail. I just love he's like, but it says in the book, he's just he's exasperated. He's just. I'm supposed to fail. This is not supposed to work. And then, I did it. It's just the delivery.
We did it.
And just the shock of these obnoxious pigs. It's such a fantastic ending. It's actually one of the best endings, I think, in Warner Brothers. So that's not just downright strange. Like, it caps the story absolutely perfectly. So, to slightly wind this down, though, I'll get you guys to give you final review scores. I mean, I'll start off with you, Mark. I mean, obviously, this holds a special place in your heart because you taped it. What score would you give this one out of 10?
Probably a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And what about you, Cam?
Ditto.
About the same. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. This one is just one of those ones that just works so well. And I don't think it would work as well as it does without those obnoxious pigs, I would think. And just the way Mel Blanc does the wolf's delivery.
Did those pigs appear in something else? Because I'm convinced they appeared in something.
They do. Yep, they come back in a later cartoon, so I'm glad to see them at least one more time. But they work so well here. It's just... Once again, I have to mention the stupid laugh, which I'll probably play here yet again. In any case, we'll wind this one up here. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. Feedback is always welcome, and until next time, take care.